Good evening, everyone. My name is Ita, and I'm very happy to be the moderator for today. When Michelle asked me to do this, I agreed without any hesitation because ASEAN is a region which I'm really passionate about. It's somewhere I always travel to. You know, every month in the year, I'll make sure I travel to a different place in this ASEAN community itself. So I've saw many different people, different cultures, and I think there are a lot of interesting stories that ought to be shared with the larger community. And today, we're very fortunate to have with us three amazing personalities who flew from different parts of ASEAN to join us here today. From Michelle flew in from Yangon earlier. We have Yen Tun, who flew in from Penang, and we have Jan, who flew in from Bangkok. So although Jan is from Malaysia, he is in Bangkok today. Although Yen is actually from Myanmar, he came from Penang. And although Michelle is Singaporean, she flew in from Yangon. So we really have a very diverse panel of people doing very amazing things. So without hesitation, I would like to invite them to share a little bit about themselves. And we start off with Michelle, a character larger than life.
Good evening. Okay, I love talking, so you just have to humor me, okay? And this is the entertainment after a long day at work. So my name is Michelle. I graduated from SMU, tried working for 3 months, and then realized I keep wanting to move my table to the courtyard outside and sit with everybody. Because I just like to be outside. I don't like to be behind the four walls. So after 3 months, I was like, nope, I think I will go out and try something different. Took me a few months to figure out. And eventually, I was thinking, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And what can I do without getting bored? And I figured since I'm always talking, I might as well move into training. So as it is with entrepreneurship, the first few years, I was figuring out my life, trying to get businesses going, but consulting and training in Singapore, it's quite hard. So 2 years into the business, there were ups, there were downs, and there was one point I almost threw in the towel. Okay, I've had enough. Maybe I will just find a job. But so happened, because I was on a break from work, my friends invited me to go on a community project in Philippines, Iloilo. So it's this far off province, and I never even checked the place that I went to until the third time I flew there. So most of the time, I just sit on an aeroplane and end up somewhere in the world. Yeah, so I went there, interacted with the communities, but what I realized was there was a lot of gaps in terms of development, because the city was growing very fast. But in its economic growth, it means that you need a lot more training. So I thought, okay, that's an opportunity. Came back to Singapore. Within a week, I packed up my things and I flew off, and okay, I'm going to start a new business in Philippines. So it's been 5 years. I tested a few businesses. Finally now, stabilized one business. I have a resort there. And now, because nothing better to do, my staff are working, right? I'm bored, so I am now in Myanmar. And that's how I met him when I went to Myanmar to do market research. Walked through one of the doors and, oh, hi, new friend. So I will let him introduce himself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Welcome.
Right, so my name is Wayan. I was born and raised in Yangon. But before I start talking about myself, I'm just curious about you guys, that how old do you think I am? 30, 29.
Below 20.
No, don't dress up. 39 and 20, okay, quite close. But I'm 21, and I'm a college dropout. So I've been traveling since I was 15 after I finished my high school all around the world, based in Turkey and a bit of Southeast Asia, and I went to US for a robotics competition. So my background is basically robotics, but I dived myself into business world since 18 years old, and been with multiple different startups across the region. One of them was NASA-backed AR/VR edtech company, and I lived in Thailand and also in Indonesia, being a freelancer for the companies in Singapore. I was doing the digital marketing for them, and then I went back, and then I helped build up Tribe Theory in Yangon. That's where I met Michelle. Michelle came down one day and say, "Hey, hello, like, what's up?" I say, "Hey, what's up?" Yeah, let's talk now, right? Anyway, so after a while, I joined one of the green business called Recyclo, where we do the smart waste management solutions in Yangon, and I also help them expand to Malaysia. Then I met my so-called co-founder, co-founder Lance. He's from Malaysia, so we met there, and I said, yeah, why not? I will join as a chief business officer. And then we'll be leading the fundraising and international business expansion for the company. So yeah, that's about it, and I would love to get more questions about me later.
Hi, my name is Jen. As introduced earlier, I'm from Malaysia, but I flew in from Bangkok this afternoon. So to cut a long story short, I started my first company of 17 years old back in college. Since then, I've started 8 different businesses around the different regions around the world. So I've started a range of different companies in different industries. I first started a hardware business, although I have no idea about hardware. I went to data recovery, not knowing about data recovery, sold that company. I started a Facebook app development company without knowing how to develop Facebook ads. A string of it, I even started a fashion-based company, although I may not look like it. But one of the companies that I'm representing right now is a company called Open Minds. So Open Minds is a marketing technology company based in Malaysia, Singapore, and Hong Kong. It's been around for about 8 years right now. We have bootstrapped, so we have not raised a single fund at all, not a single cent. Right now, we are valued at about $10 million US. Currently looking towards working with Michelle to work on something in Yangon, actually. But at the same time, in this year, we're also exploring our expansion into Greater China. So it's been quite a journey, actually. What I also do is that I also mentor a lot of startups among the region. So I've worked with a lot of startups in different shapes and sizes, hundreds of them. And that's also one of my passions here for myself.
Thanks, Jen. Just now I forgot to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Now it's already 2020, so I thought it's a good opportunity for us to take a look back in 2019. Maybe you want to sum up how the past year had been for you. For each of you, what have you been up to? What were your ups and downs? Any memorable moments that you want to share with the crowd over here?
He prepared.
Okay, for the last time, don't trust her. Well, 2019 has been quite a roller coaster ride for me because before I entered into 2019, I joined Tribe Theory as a general manager. And then because the thing is, I had zero background or experience in hospitality business. But when I met Vikram, the founder and CEO of Tribe Theory, he said, we were actually drinking in a bar. Sipping some of my favorite drinks, Corona. And Vikram was like, so you don't come from hospitality business, then do you think you can manage? I'm like, wow, that's a very tough question. I think I can, maybe, not sure. He said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Why don't you just take over my hostel and start to manage it? So I got it over and, try to learn everything myself. Online is our master training classes, right? And then after 7 to 8 months, I started receiving the awards from Booking.com, Hostel Wall, and all these platforms. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe my future is bright. Maybe I should stay in hospitality business for long. But the thing is, since I was also concurrently working in a green business, which is my passion, by the way, I really want to. Everyone will say you also want to make a world a better place, but I say no, a greener place. Yeah, that's what I did. But the thing is, I only have 24 hours a day in my life, so I couldn't manage 2 companies at the same time. So I left Tribe Theory to bring Recyclo out of the country to Malaysia. So I joined a 4 months accelerator program called Magic in Cyberjaya. So where I met a lot of new friends, a lot of knowledges. Can I say that? Anyway, that's how I established the company in Malaysia. And 4 months later, my contract with Recyclo ended. I said, okay, should I go back to Yangon and start my new business or just join a startup in Malaysia? So, and then Lance was like, he called and said, hey bro, do you want to join my company as a co-founder? I said, yeah, why not? I'll still give it a shot. So I've been giving it shots, yeah, in my whole life. So yeah, so 2019 ended working in a company where we built smart vending machines equipped with IoT, SaaS cloud solutions, and also big data analytics. Where well, since I come from like international background, I bring in skills for the company in terms of fundraising part, because the company was also bootstrapped 4 years ago. And now that they then say, hey bro, we need money. I say, yeah, just sell the machines out. No, we need more money. I say, okay, don't worry, I'm gonna do the fundraising part. So it's been going well. I can say that. We've got a lot of leads from from investors across the region. And one of the drawbacks during 2019 was the lesson that I learned. I can share. It's I learned how to avoid some of the people to not fall into the pit hole. Yeah, that was one of the valuable reasons that I learned during 2019. But apart from that, it was all good. I was high in the sky. Great.
Yeah, because I met him in Singapore just
last month. Yes.
No.
Yeah, it was.
Was it December?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
basically I met him, and I had not met him for about half a year or slightly less than half a year, and by then he had changed 2 companies. This is not the millennial drop hopping. This is just moving very fast across companies.
And across the region as well, yeah?
Yeah. So I think for me, my crazy 2019 started a bit in 2018 because I basically had to put together, so the resort that I have in Philippines, I left it to other business partners and then it messed up. So I had to take over in August 2018. So August 2018 to November, our Booking.com rating started with 5.2. Within 2 months, we had to work very, very hard. And in 2 months, we got up to 8.9. So it was crazy. So just in January 2019, I was just, okay, finally I can breathe. You know, we have hit a bit of stability. I can sleep at night. So once my staff started going into operational mode, so day in, day out, they know what they're doing. This is what entrepreneurs do. They sit on the bed and I am bored. I need to find something new to do. So that's when I started searching around. So I've had my ASEAN friends. I started traveling around, and then we started having talks. So there was one period I was actually holding an ASEAN talk on conference call with at least 6 people from 6 different countries, and all discussing what we want to do. And we all said that the main thing we struggle with for entrepreneurs is being able to find like-minded friends. So that's how I started playing around with this idea of the ASEAN Living Room, bringing different people together from around ASEAN and just being friends. We have spoken at quite a few conferences, and sometimes it gets a bit tiring. You know, you just want to relax with people and hang out with your own kind. So in April, we started the first ASEAN Living Room. It was an exclusive retreat. We had it in Iloilo, so back in my place in Philippines. And at that event, I was thinking, okay, we need to have it at least twice a year. And then someone from Myanmar, one of our good friends from ASEAN, the ASEAN Youth
Not
Fellowship.
me.
Not you. She was younger and prettier. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. So she's like, hey, Michelle, I have a building in Myanmar. You want to go come check it out? So, okay. Next week, I booked my flight. I went to Yangon. So I went to Yangon. I looked around at the place. Okay, I think there's potential. Started going back the next few weeks. Oh no, before the second trip, I made a trip up to Malaysia to just share with my friends what I had been up to. And then this friend shows up at my meeting, and I said, oh yeah, you know, if you're bored, I said, I've been checking out Myanmar, you want to go? He said, okay. So the next day he booked his flight too. So we both flew into Myanmar. After a few trips, by October I went in and started renting a place. And we were actually looking around for what's the next possible project. Within 5 days, I met a friend and said, hey, in the next 1 month, I'm running a business forum in Kachin. Kachin is one of the border states of Myanmar near China. So I said, oh, okay. In 2 days' time, I hopped onto a plane, flew up, did 3 days of just recce, checking out the place, came back, rushed for 1 month, and then we pulled off a business forum. So pretty much at the end of the year, I was very happy, but also trying to catch my breath. But yeah, that was exciting.
You need to tell them about Live Springs and you need to do some promotion about Live Springs.
Live Springs, my resort. You must come. It's a resort in the middle of the city, and basically it's got such high walls that you feel like you are in Botanic Gardens. Okay, it's like 6 houses, Spanish houses, with a lot of greenery, and you can't hear the city. But if you just get out from our gates, 3 minutes, there are 3 business parks. So that place, it was designed to be an integrated resort for entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs can come, relax, and then think up of creative ideas. But it takes different phases to build the business up. So first phase, community building. So I can chill. I'm doing other things while the business is going through phase 1.
All right, over to Jen.
Right, 2019 for me, it was actually quite a hellish experience. But to explain to you why is it hellish, I need to backtrack 2 years, right? So in 2017 was one of our best years, that was our 5th or 6th year at Open Minds. We were doing very well. That was the year we actually scaled into 2 countries, namely Hong Kong and Singapore, and we scaled in cash, right? So we basically sent our team members into 2 different countries, pump in the money from our bank accounts. We were guaranteed with few big clients at the point of time. We were very confident with our move. And 2017 was also very significant because 2017 was the year I made the Forbes list. In 2018, I made the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. Right? But in 2019, everything came crashing under. Countries weren't doing too well. As you know, in 2019, Hong Kong had a lot of movements, as you know. In 2 years before in Malaysia, we had the elections. That also affected business quite a bit. So from doing very well, we were actually burning money for the first time in 7 years. We have never burnt money before, being a bootstrap company. Yeah, it was a very great time because I was in Yangon at that point in time as well. So I received a lot of questions from my team members, from my directors. They were saying that, hey, you know, the company's not doing well. We are burning money and you are doing all this traveling. To give you a bit of context, I traveled about 30 countries last year, right, in 2019. So it was in, out, in, out, in, out. They were saying that, Jen, what are you doing? We need you to save the company, you know. But I'm telling them, no, I need to fly. I need to explore new opportunities. I need to bring us out. Right, so it was really going downhill. We were actually considering, okay, maybe it's time that we really need to mass fire team members. We hate doing this, but we're really considering what are options. Should we let go of team members? Should we cut costs? How can we keep us afloat as long as we can? But this 1 year in 2019, although it's only 1 year, felt like, I don't know, 5, 10 years. It was hell. You know, going to bed, right? This is a feeling I think a lot of entrepreneurs can tell you. You go to bed not knowing the next day you can actually have money to go for another day. Right? With the expenses so high, you're looking at your bank account and saying, oh no, you know, for the first time it's like 3 digits, 2 digits. And when you go into the office, you need to look like nothing's wrong, you know? So their team members get confused. You can't go and say, oh, sorry, man, we only have 2 digits in the bank account. Can't pay anybody. I have to go and say, yeah, you know, we still have to motivate. You still need to go in with your heads held high. You still need to go and pitch to clients and say, hey, yes, we are scaling. We are doing well. I'm not saying you need to live a lie, right? But you need to instill confidence with the people around you. But when we were sometime July or August, it was really tough for me personally because I was already wearing out. I was saying that I don't know how long I could keep up this positive outlook, you know, being invited to events, sharing my story, acting as though nothing has happened. But in my head, it's a war going on. I'm going to make the next check for the next month. But fortunately, few deals came through end of last year. So for about 90% of the year, it was insane. But December, during Christmas time, that week, miracles started happening, like literally, right? Because it was in December, we managed to close 2 clients equivalent of a Series A fundraising. But we did not raise funds, it was through a client, right? So we received 2 checks that came in at the Series A level, and that really, And that's why in 2020 January, I'm here, I'm able to share with you this story. Else I'll probably tell Michelle, look man, maybe I need to consider declaring bankrupt or something. But 2019 was insane. So you can see how fast the cycle turned, right? On 2017, we were really at our peak. We were saying that, hey, no problem, 2 countries, let's just put the money, send the people, we can do anything that we want. In just a span of 1.5 years, we really almost went down under. That was 2019.
Thanks, Jen. I think what really summed this 3 amazing personalities up would be crazy busy Asians in the past 1 year. But I want to pick on one point which Michelle, Ryan, and Jen had mentioned earlier. It's really about, it seems so easy to meet someone and find the next opportunity just by going out there, talking to somebody. How do you make it seem so easy, What would you like to share with the audience over here, right? How do you really go out there and find the opportunity, seize the opportunity, or create the opportunity?
It's a con job. No, because all of us, okay, so I think one thing that we definitely do is we all move very fast. I think one thing we accept is that opportunities don't always come twice. Yeah, so if the door opens, we just try. I mean, we do try to calculate our cost, and at the back of our mind, we know how much we're going to risk. But you can't think twice. You think once and you just go. Yeah, because for me, it's if I don't try, I might just regret it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the same applies to, I guess, like all of us. Because if you don't try something out yourself, then you won't know. And you won't know if that's like really hard or easy, or is it your thing to do for the future. Because before I accepted all these like startup offers, I literally had like no idea what a startup was. But the thing is, when I stepped into it, it was very tiring, but it was fun. So that was one word that I was chasing. So it was fun. Because, well, I'm a college dropout, right? So after I came back from Turkey, dropping out from 2 different universities, my mom was like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? I mean, where do you want to go next? And when are you coming back? Which university are you dropping out from later? I'm like, no, Mom. Yeah, I mean, no universities. Come on. I'm gonna make this happen in my own way, right? So I started learning online about the skills that I needed. Because when I really look at the university, the courses are, to me, it was like a huge desk of drawers. Starting from like introduction 1, 2 to all these like final year projects. I'm not sure about you, but for me, what I think was not like all of the subjects will be useful or will be used in the real life for you. I mean, it might be useful for some other people. So what I did was I selectively opened the drawer which I needed that moment, and I study it. So I kind of like reversed the education for myself. That's how it worked. No digital marketing background, no worries. Go online and say, what is digital marketing? Marketing, doing digitally. Okay, great. That's something that I can do. Yeah, so it's all about it. But yeah, I mean, it was always fun. It actually gives me the opportunity to travel, and of course, met with a lot of different people from all across the globe. The culture shock might be one of the things that you or us will be having fun with as well. When I landed to Malaysia, everything is changed, even from the language. Because in Malaysia, they speak, I'm sorry, but they speak 3 languages in one sentence. I got shocked.
You can join Singapore, it's the same.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
actually,
4.
totally the same. So, one time I was going out with my friends to eat outside, and one of our colleagues from the office saw the story, and she said, "You guys go makan, no bojoa." I'm like, "What the heck? No bojoa?" I'm like, "Makan? Okay, that's
Bojio.
yeah, that's common. Like we eat, of course. Okay, you guys eat. Don't bojo. What the heck was bojo, right? I mean, I had no idea what bojo was. I mean, in my language, it sounds a bit like general. If you call it bojo, it's general. So I couldn't figure out what the sentence means. And when someone was like quite scary, they don't say I'm scary. They say scared I me. It's a literal translation from Mandarin to English. Love die me, scared. I'm like, yeah, that one. Yeah. So I try to like cope up with the new culture, but it's been fun because of the laksa saved me.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I love Penang laksa. Anyway,
You're in Singapore, okay?
I also love Singapore laksa.
Good answer.
Yeah, I mean that's all about it.
For me, it's 3 things, right? It's a combination of 3 things. One is positioning. Number 2 is action. Number 3 is focus. I think these are the 3 things I managed to gather and summarize the previous experience I have. I'll tell you a little bit more. So when I talk about positioning, one of the main things I think it's important if you want to go out building businesses and go into entrepreneurship is to have a very clear understanding of where your strengths and what industry or what is it that you're actually trying to build. So for me, from when I was 17, I've identified that the tech industry is something that I will always be interested in. I always want to have my hand in. So all the businesses or the people that I speak to, the network that I've built to, the skills that I've built for myself have always been very focused and driven in the tech industry. So the news that I read, the people that I mingle with, I put in a bit of focus over there because I want to be able to build a compounding effect, right? I don't want it to be in a way where I'm doing this 1 year later, and then the next year I'm going to go into law, maybe, or go into manufacturing. There's nothing to do with tech, and I have to rebuild skills again. Then I'll keep resetting and resetting and resetting, and this would mean that I'll be wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort trying to build out skills that is not transferable. Some may argue to say that, hey, yeah, it may be good, have a wide range of skill sets and knowledge, but to me, I think that's counterproductive. So my style is that I like to build upon one single focus positioning. And I've been doing that. And I tell you, the results are quite amazing. In the earlier years, you don't really feel it. But as you go on and you start connecting the dots, the hardware businesses that I used to run somehow today make sense. When I deal with IoT suppliers, when I deal with other hardware providers in the tech scene, I can speak their language, I understand it. Because of the Facebook app development company, and right now when I do digital consultancy, I can speak their language as well. And all this kind of links up into one big picture. Plus, because you've been doing this for so many years, your reputation in the industry is easier to be established as well. So that's the first thing, positioning. Then I talk about action as well, because as clearly mentioned, right, it's really going out there to do something. It's building your own network and all that, but it's two, really tapping into it to maximize what you can get out of it. So what I've realized is that every opportunity that comes, I don't say no to it. I will put my hand in, explore, talk, find out whatever information there is. If you need to fly to Yangon, sure.
Tomorrow we go Brunei.
Sure.
Oh, okay, let's go.
But I need to be in Singapore this week. Other commitments, right? But it's to really go out and explore, to talk to people. The thing is that opportunities sometimes really don't come twice. Right? And sometimes when you meet the right people at the right time of the year, you really just want to go out there to explore what is it for you. Because you have to understand that not every opportunity is a good opportunity anyway. But it's worth exploring. Just to go in and understand. And if it clicks with you, especially if your positioning is strong and that resonates, then great, go for it. That's why I conclude the third point, which is focus. Because after all the exploration, certain amount of focus needs to come in. There's one point of time I was running 3 companies at one go. I thought this is the coolest thing to do, every day switching in between 3 different companies, talking to 3 different teams, thinking I can go 3 at the same time. And then you know what? All 3 died. None of the 3 survived. In just 2 years, I wasted 2 years of my life trying to build 3 things, and 3 things all failed. For one very simple reason, because I lacked focus. I thought just by position, because all 3 are also in tech, I thought by pursuing this opportunity through action, it's good enough. Nonsense, it's not. At the end of the day, focus still plays a very, very big role, and that's something I hold true until today.
So maybe let me probe a bit deeper, right? Because it seems so easy, right? And all 3 of you have ventured, beyond your comfort zone, went to a new market, have dealings with different partners. So was there any fear? Were you afraid when someone approached you with a new venture, with a new proposal? What made you take the leap of faith, to take that step forward, to really go and make things happen, right? Were there any holdbacks? Michelle mentioned about calculated risk. So then, how do you make that risk a calculated one? Right.
Buy a big calculator.
It's very cool, but yes.
I have to be careful what I say because my mom just walked in. Okay. Okay, I'm not telling you who she is. But anyway,
Calculated risk.
No, actually, I
So you have to
realized
explain it.
the truth is at some point, I just stop calculating. I just look at whether I think it's interesting and whether the opportunity is there. And also actually for me, I think it depends on the personality of the individual. But for me, it really matters who I'm working with, who is going with me. And if I like the people, I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure about the business, but the two of us will just make something work, right? You know, we will grow. I mean, that's how you know an entrepreneur, right? They will just make money out of nothing. So it doesn't matter if we don't have a full business plan. In fact, it does take me time to explore the markets and learn about the new markets. But I believe that if I have the right people with me, we can just create something. But yeah.
So how do you define the right people? How
The
do
right
you
people?
trust someone?
Depends on their
Sorry
looks.
to keep probing, but
How do I?
how do you quantify it? How do you know?
I think it really depends on, firstly, it has to be their passion. They must first know what they enjoy. Because if they're just coming out to explore, unfortunately, in our world, we move very, very fast. So if they don't know what drives them and they don't know where the energy is coming from, what they want in their life, they're just going to run halfway and then, tired. Go back and drink coffee. Yeah. They have to know what they want as well, and then whether our visions are aligned, whether our passions are aligned, and then we go for it. So I actually look for people with passion as well. Like, for example, I mean, he's in tech, right? I'm like, oh my, I can't code for nuts. And then I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't figured out where he's going to be, what he's doing. But I was like, I like the energy. That's one thing that I think really marks out people who are entrepreneurs. The energy, the willingness to try. And these are people that I look for because they are also people that I need around me to encourage me to run forward. Because the fact is, life can get really bad. Yeah, there are days where everyone has taken turns wanting to declare bankrupt or wanting to throw in the towel. And it is part and parcel of life. We have accepted it, but we also know that when you have the right people and the right voices around you, the next day is like, hey, stop slacking, get back to work. and that's something that I would have messaged over.
I think when you talk about the calculated risks, it also comes with a failure. Like we need to be honest to each other, right? Because at some point of your entrepreneurial journey, of course you face a lot of difficulties, a lot of obstacles that you need to overcome with. For example, when I was running Thrive Theory in Yangon, of course there was 1 month where I couldn't even pay my salary. Because the sale was down like hell, so nothing was moving. Our beds were empty, no guests were coming in. So at that point, you feel like, I thought I was good, but actually I'm not, and maybe I need to step out of this industry and go look for other opportunities, or maybe go back to university. I don't know. But that time, what really moved me was my mentor. Because you always should have one mentor who will keep you running. So I tested my mentor, and she said, she's the founder of 360 Ad, which is the ad tech company in Myanmar, one of the leading companies. So she said, of course, do you think I'm happy all the time? Well, I don't know, maybe, because you seem happy while you just like you said, when you come into the office, your smile is bigger than us. Right, but the truth is, of course, the nights are tougher than you think. So I said, okay, then maybe I won't sleep tonight and figure out what was wrong, what went wrong with my sales strategies, what went wrong with our capacity, or is there anything wrong on the platforms? Well, there was something wrong in the platform, which was the pricing. Although the time was not peak season, my prices were pretty high. So that was something that I didn't realize it was wrong. So I immediately changed it, and of course, the guests are coming back in because it was cheap. You will face failures definitely at points of your life, but you still need to have the consistency and the motivation that drives you move forward.
I mean, you started off asking a question by saying that, this looks so easy. I can assure you that's not easy at all. It's crazy like hell, right? I still remember in my early days when I first started my company, comparing to two of them, I am an introvert. Both of them are extroverts, right? So
all three of us.
All three, yeah, three are extroverts, right? I'm an introvert. So when I started my company, there was a lot of internal thoughts going to my head. I struggled with myself the most. That was the first thing I struggled with, right? I struggled with my confidence. I struggled with my conversation, my communication skills. I struggled even trying to pick up the phone to call a supplier, to call a customer. I struggled with every single thing, even when I've already drove to the doorstep, right? And then I'm standing at the door, okay, maybe another day. I keep struggling with myself. I think that was the biggest wall that I ever faced when I first started, right? But one thing is that, unfortunately, I don't have an exit strategy for how to come out of it, right? But for me, it was through a series of failures, right? The day I accepted that, hey, it's okay when people turn you down. It's okay when people don't pick up the call. It's okay when some people really are just live their life being nasty or whatever. It's fine. The moment I started accepting that, then things so-called started becoming a little bit more easy, because to you it becomes like it's just part of a response, it's part of your daily life. You go through this just to get to your goals. But on the other part, when Michelle also brought to earlier in talking about the people that you work with, that is the other part of people that also plays a very important role in determining whether a business opportunity is worth pursuing. I agree with the three things she said, right? She talked about vision has to be aligned. But unfortunately, what I've also learned is that many people think they see the same vision, and then they fail in the other two areas. One is passion, right? And the third is actually the perseverance or the grit to go through. Because a lot of people say that, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start something, I want to run a business. But when it comes down to when it really matters to make the sacrifice, to travel or to not pay yourself, which, by the way, at Open Minds, in our first year, none of the founders got paid anything. 0 for 1 full year. And then in the second year, we decided that, hey, we did quite well in the first year. It's time to pay ourselves. Let's declare salary. We paid ourselves 300 ringgit per person. So that's less than 100 Sing dollars right now, right? And we thought, finally, we got salary. 6 months in our second year, we decided now we deserve a raise. Wow, 100% raise to pay 600 ringgit. We were happy, but how many can actually go through this? And I've seen many of my friends even, they look and say, hey, yeah, I think it's good, starting a company 6 months in or 3 months in, and then they sit down and say, hey, no sales, I don't think this is for me, this industry sucks, I don't think I'm entrepreneur material. But the fact is, everybody goes through that same steep curve. Therefore, it's not easy at all. Not easy. Even if the opportunity is there, it's not easy.
Thank you. So maybe shifting gears, I think we want to spend more time talking about the region, ASEAN itself. So maybe you all want to share why you choose the particular markets you are in. Say Michelle, for example, why go into Philippines to Myanmar. Before you venture into such markets, what were the thoughts that went through your mind? What were the considerations, the assessments that you have made?
Yes, to start with me. Okay, so for Philippines, it was, I went into the city. It's one of the tier 2 cities. So your main cities of Philippines are Manila and Cebu, right? And then after Manila and Cebu, there's another group of cities which they're trying to develop as the next business hubs. So Iloilo is one of it's actually one of the collecting points or the next city to be developed in Philippines, because it is literally the 0 point latitude of Philippines. So whoever's from the north and the south and the east and the west will all have to come to Iloilo whenever they want to have a domestic conference or meeting. Assuming they don't need to be in Manila or Cebu for governmental relations, usually they will try to have a meeting somewhere around Visayas, which is the middle region. So basically, I came in at a time when I saw that the first trip I went, oh, okay, you have just flown into a new airport. So I didn't even see an old airport, but apparently I was I think in the first few months of this new airport. And then I went to the city. 6 months later, I came back again. But in that 6 months, this grass area that was outside my hotel had started being built up with different buildings. It was just 6 months. There was no pavement, and there was now a pavement. And basically, everything was just going up very, very fast within 6 months. And in Philippines, I realized that a lot of this development is also driven by the private sector. So it's not like Singapore, oh, the government comes and, we plan it. But there, it's just opportunity, They calculate and then they say, okay, we're going to invest, and they just move, and they move so fast. So 6 months, I saw the development, and I was thinking, as they grow really, really fast, they need proper structures. So I was thinking along those lines in terms of proper structures, understanding how to build up bases in their company, being able to grow more startups and entrepreneurs. So along those lines, that's how I decided, okay, you know what? It's hard to, like I said, Singapore was a tough market for me, being a new person in the training and consulting industry. But why not just try in a new market? I mean, why start off when I'm on a losing end? So I might as well go to a place where it's new. So that's how I ended up in Philippines. Over time, had to learn many different things. Yangon was also, it was one of those where, I was really exploring, and like I said, my first move there was because of a friend, because she said, oh, just come. So I came, and I just decided to take a look just because a friend invited me. But by the second time I went back, I actually, besides bringing Jen, I also brought in 2 of my friends who are now investors. Say, hey, you want to take a look at the place? They also came. But because they are more analytical, they came back, okay, Michelle, we're going to invest because we think that there's potential in this market. It's the second biggest population in ASEAN. They said, why not you just try? Go in. And even in the last few months, I have told my investors, hey, it's a tough market. There are times where, information is non-existent. Like we were trying to do research for ASEAN, and honestly, there was one point where we couldn't even find statistics for Myanmar. So basically, one of my investors said exactly why you should go in. Because if you can be the one holding the data and the information, that's your competitive advantage. Well, so I'm still there. Ask me again next year.
Okay, so for me is I lived across some of the Southeast Asian countries for I spent about like 5 to 6 months in each countries. So like I was studying German at that time, and 2 months of studying, 4 months of like traveling. So what I did was I really went into the villages. If you talk about Indonesia, like I went to Eastern Java, lived in like all these villages. At one point of the time, like I actually ran out of my money, so I ended up singing in a bar. No, it's not a bar. It was a cafe.
You can sing tonight.
No, I don't. I won't. So I ended up like singing the songs, and then the cafe owner was like, "I will let you sing only if you can sing an Indonesian song." I was like, "Yes, okay. I know one Indonesian song. Would that make?" I said, "Yeah, I mean, if you can do that, yeah, go on stage and sing." So I tried my best to sing the Indonesian song. It was a wrecked. But it was good. It was good. Anyhow, I ended up getting paid. So I.
That's what matters.
That's what matters the most, right? So I refunded my trip again. Anyway, so when I travel around these Southeast Asia countries, I feel there's a potential to grow for selective sectors in selective countries. If you talk about Thailand, of course, like Thailand is very vibrant. If you go to Bangkok, of course, like everything's happening. But when I lived there, I worked with people who are from Norway. So we were working on social impact projects in Thailand. And when I went to Indonesia, of course, almost everybody was interested in social projects. So I got into hands with one of my best friends from Indonesia and tried to start up a community, sort of like community called Waste Hub Indonesia, where we help the waste pickers, aka the scavengers, to the junk shops. So and then back to Malaysia. Actually, Malaysia was the only country in ASEAN region where Burmese people from Myanmar needed a visa to go in. So I never could go in because I didn't have a valid visa. I've been to KLIA quite a few times, but I can only feel, oh, I'm in Malaysia. But the thing is, I could never go in. So I somehow had a chance to come to Malaysia and really see Twin Tower in front of my eyes. I was like, wow, that's massive. It's crazily massive, because what I knew was from the pictures, from the movies, and of course from my uncle who actually brought me some of the Yeah, souvenirs. And then when I step into Malaysia, KL was not my first entry point, but Cyberjaya was. So the people from Cyberjaya said they've been building Cyberjaya to become the next Silicon Valley of Southeast Asia or ASEAN? Southeast Asia, okay. Southeast Asia, but it's been there for 20 years. But I see a lot of improvements there. I mean, the magic and what's a lot of like drone companies, and they even have like self-driving cars testing areas. So I was like, okay, I think Malaysia really has a growth mindset to start a business. And then I joined Vecnology, and then Vecnology has been doing quite good in business, like in terms of selling off the machines. But when I came in, things started to move faster, which means we are getting out of Malaysia again. So we are aiming at Indonesia market and Brunei market, and not to forget, we are actually going to Middle East for the first time for Vecnology, which is Egypt. So there's going to be a lot of work for me to contact, like market researchers, talking to our potential partner from Egypt and so on. Yeah. So haven't been to Egypt yet, so there will be one trip coming up soon.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Count me in. For me, or rather for Open Minds, how we identify new countries is always, we call them impact points. Because one of the main reasons why we call ourselves Open Minds is that when the founders came together, me and my co-founders sat together, we wanted to have a company that goes out there and create impact through business. Right? So when in our third year, when we decided that, hey, this is the year that we should start looking out to fulfill the vision and the mission that we set out to do, we were looking at all the countries around to see which would be our next base, right? Which is the base that we can actually set it up, create a great socio-economic impact in that particular country, and we're huge believers of education as well. So we wanted to also push to see which country could benefit from our experiences that we have gained through Malaysia. So we looked around. To be honest, we looked at all the ASEAN countries and decided, okay, let's do something unconventional. Let's go further. Right? Let's be brave. Let's just go to places where when we tell people which country we're in, they'll be like, what? Why did you go there? So we started looking at the Tans country. I don't know whether you get this or not, right? The country of the Tans. And in between, there's a country called Kazakhstan. And that is where we started our first branch. Right? We wanted to go in there because it was a young country, only 20 over years old. To them, technology is foreign, and we thought that there's a huge playing field, in which we were right? When we went in, countries were very eager, the companies were very eager to learn, they were very eager to meet us, and we were there for 2 years until the oil and gas crisis hit, and then we had to exit because all our clients there were in oil and gas. But when we came back, we regrouped. We thought to ourselves, actually that wasn't too bad of an experience, right? We managed to validate one point, is that if we find the right impact points, people are willing to work with us. So taking that learnings, then we wanted to establish ourselves right now in a slightly more mature market, so that will also create another sustainability point for the countries around. Then we started looking, and then Hong Kong came up, and then Singapore came up for very simple reasons, because we realized that a lot of our clients are regional, and their regional offices are in these few places. So that's where we then slowly established. And then right now we are slowly breaking out of that again, going to neighboring countries, for example, in the Indo-China region, and also in Greater China. So it's based on what kind of impact we can create first, before studying the landscape and opportunities in the country.
Wonderful. So I think we have spent about an hour talking to each other. Okay, so we are left with 3 minutes. We maybe hear some parting advice, 1 minute each. We've learned about hack sleep. So one more do you have to share? So 1 minute each.
Wow. After saying all that, I need to do. Maybe we start from that side, right?
Basically, it's just don't be afraid to try. I think it's okay to make mistakes.
Oh, two-sentence. Okay.
Yeah.
Take the risks. Keep your risks happy.
I go by this quote: your mindset determines the size of the life game you play. This means that you shouldn't limit yourself. If you have a vision, you have a dream, go for it, seize the dream, pursue every opportunity, take action, put focus on it. That's how you get your feet off the ground.
So I'll sum up by sharing a quote from my Indonesian friend. It's in Bahasa. It's called "Semua bisa diatur," which is translated into everything can be done, everything can be arranged. Basically, we are in ASEAN. It's really a region of open possibilities. If you put your heart and soul to it, I hope all of you are equally enthused by our three speakers over here and inspired to take that leap of faith, venture out of your comfort zone, and go out there and make a difference. So please join me in giving a huge round of applause for our great speakers over here. And thank you.